Hi, I'm Kate, and today I'll be showing you a great way to adjust your fit pants. So the fit pants by Mama Can Do It are already a wonderful pattern, but you can make it even better by putting your own spin on it. My spin is a kind of edgy equestrian type of a hack. So in essence, what we're going to be doing is adding a leather stripe down the side seam. So I've already done it on one side of the pants, and I'm going to show you how to do it because it's not quite as simple as it sounds. It's not just slapping it on there and sewing. So I'll show you the tricks and tips on how to do it and have your pants be edgy and wonderful too. So what we have here, first of all, is you just go ahead and follow the instructions and sew your front and back together. So here we go, we have our front and back together and right along the side seam. One change though, go ahead and sew it wrong sides together, not right sides. I know this sounds weird, but when you attach your leather, you'll be attaching it on the right sides, which will hide your seam, and then you won't have a seam rubbing up against the side of your legs, which I personally prefer. So once you go ahead and sew those things together, just press it. I like to press my pants towards the back, press my seam allowance towards the back, and that's what I've done here. So seam allowance is pressed towards the back. That way you will have it be the same on each side. It doesn't matter front or back as long as it's the same on each side. Next thing to remember to do is go ahead and hem your pants first. I know this feels a little bit weird as well, but you're not going to want your hem stitch running across your leather later on. The leather's too pretty to go through, and it's not really great and easy to do on your machine to sew excessively. So go ahead and hem them first. So here we go. We have our pants front and back already hemmed, and again, the seam allowance is pressed towards the back of my pants right here. And so now we'll look at our trim. Here it is. So I got this at Joann's, $3 a yard. I bought like 2.5, 3 yards, and I used a 50% off coupon. So guys, this is awesome. This little hack is going to cost you less than $4, which I think is pretty darn cheap for some great looking pants. The really cool thing about this is on the back, it already has the edges folded over. So you don't have to try to fold your two side edges. It already comes with a finished edge on each side. It does not have a finished edge where you cut it, so you do need to finish that before you sew it on. So to finish it, all you're going to do is take the back of your leather and it's pull apart just a little bit. Pull apart that inside seam allowance or extra bit you have on the leather, and you're going to want to just clip that. You don't have to do this. I personally like to do it just to reduce the bulk a little bit. So you're going to have, just go ahead and clip it on both sides. It'll be a little less bulky. And then you can fold it over and press, and you'll have a nice finish on your ends. Other thing that you're going to want to do before you start is mark your seam allowance up at your waistline. You don't want to have this in your seam allowance. It's not easy to sew through, and you don't want the extra bulk if you can catch or handle it. So now we have to get it on there. You need to baste it on or pin it on. We can't really pin leather, as we all know. That's just going to introduce holes that you don't want in there. So, handy trick. It's back to school time, right? Fall time. Just a little bit of glue stick, and you'll be able to glue baste it on. So you don't want to glue on your pants. That will just make a mess. So I just grabbed this plastic bag, actually the one from ordering the material. And I'm going to take the back side of my leather and use my glue stick. I'm not going to do the whole piece at first. The glue will dry before I get it all on there, just because this is such a big piece, and we don't want that. So a good bit of glue, and that'll start us off. Again, fold over your seam allowance. You're going to want it right just almost a hair past your hem. Not much, just a hair. And you're going to want to fully encase that. I have my serged edge. If you didn't use a serger, that's fine. Just fully encase your seam allowance so all of your raw edges are covered. Because you did press it to the back or to the front, that does mean that your leather will be just slightly to the back or the front of your side seam. And again, I personally like it that way. I think that looks the best. It's personal preference, but that's how I like it. So there we go, the bottom half is basted. Now I'm gonna take my plastic back and glue the rest of it. I'm actually gonna pull a little bit off just to re-glue my edge so that I don't have a spot that's not glued there. That it would not make for a fun day. Okay. Now we'll just go ahead and finish off. You can just let it drop. The glue isn't really going to harm your fabric, so if a little bit gets on there, that's fine. No worries. You do want to think about, machine washability. If this is a pair of pants that you're going to really make a mess of all the time, maybe some synthetic leather that's washable, which I think actually this is. Sorry, Joann's, but I'm pretty sure it is. All right, when you get up to the hip curve, you're gonna have to just kind of pull your fabric just a little bit to make sure that your leather is sitting tight to the hip curve. All right, and we are basted. Notice up here at the top, it actually stops shy. That's your seam allowance for adding a waistband later. I'm doing the yoga waistband on these pants because, yoga pants, most comfortable things on the planet, right? So if I can make yoga pants look edgy, yes please. If you're doing your regular waistbands, this will work with them too. And we are ready to stitch up. So I'll see you at the sewing machine. All right, stitching time. It's my favorite time. Cutting out's fun and thinking of ideas is fun, but stitching's where it's at. So here we go. We are going to stitch this up. A couple of things to think about that'll make your life a little bit better. When you're stitching on leather or vinyl or anything like that, some leather needles will definitely make your life a little bit better. And the other thing to keep in mind, think about using a Teflon coated foot. This one came with my machine. I didn't even know what it was. I had to look it up on the internet, and eventually I found out and I said, wow, that's really cool. This one specifically for doing leather or vinyl has just Teflon on the bottom, so your leather will just slide under there, which will make sewing it a lot better. So another little thing to keep in mind, obviously you're using the leather foot, so you're obviously going to put the leather on top. Even without a leather foot, if you don't have one, that's fine. Always put your more stable fabric on the top. Your less stable fabric should be the closest to the feed dogs on your machine. So I have the leather foot, I'm going to use it. But even if you don't, still keep your stable fabric up on top. So here we go. So I'm turning and I'm just going to go up the other side. You don't have to. You can start back at the top and bring it back down, which will keep your fabric a little bit more stable. I have this weird deficit. I can't watch the left-hand side of my foot. I don't go straight that way. So I'm gonna just go around. It is a little tricky to get it to go over the hump. A hump jumper would be handy here. The hump jumper. Laziness at its finest here, folks. So we've got this great strip of leather. They're going to be going down the side of your pants. Perfect little lines because the Teflon coated foot has a seam marker that's very close, and I'm ready to stitch up the rest of the way through. One other perk about doing this, in case you're not sold already, because your side seam is fully encased and has an extra line of stitching, it's going to be just a reinforced side seam, which is going to make your awesome fit pants last even longer. So hope you enjoyed the hack, hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Think about it. Like $3.75, $4 at tops, and you can make some really edgy and I think a little equestrian pants. Thank you for the wonderful fit pattern, Liz, awesome pattern. And if you don't have it already, follow the link in the comments and get this pattern. There's so much you can do with it. Skinny legs, straight legs, wide legs, boot cut. All the pants in one pattern. It's an awesome pattern. So buy it and have fun with it. Do your own hack and let us know what you think.